everybody, Siddu here. I just wanted to give you guys an update. I have been trying to make this consistent. Now, Talal and I were going to record last week, but we didn't have enough time to record a full 45-minute segment, so we just decided to just postpone until next week. Things happen. So I will try to get an episode recorded this Friday. But, it's life. So if something happens, something happens. So, I don't have to record with Talal, so I can record with pretty much anybody else. So basically, I wanted to now just give you an update kind of segment. The last couple movies I've seen. I went to see The Shining again. It was playing one of those Fathom events, a 4K remaster at my local theater, and it was really, really cool to see that on the big screen. If you haven't seen The Shining, I highly, highly recommend. It's definitely one of the most influential and famous horror movies of the last 50 years, for sure. Directed by the master Stanley Kubrick. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I highly, highly recommend. It's just a masterclass at unsettling you, which is my favorite type of horror. Just something that just builds and builds and then comes to a head in the last 20 minutes. Amazing stuff. So if you haven't listened to any of the other episodes, I usually start off by saying please listen to this at 1.25 or 1.5 speed. It's mainly for your benefit. I tend to talk slower so that I can speak more articulately, and that can that can get kind of boring if you're just listening at one time speed. So if you listen at faster speeds, you'll get used to that, and it'll be more upbeat, more engaging to listen to. And also, if you listen to things faster, you can potentially listen to more things. So, in the end, it's gonna save you time, I guess. Ad Astra was another movie I watched. I really, really like this movie. It's not for everyone because a lot of the reviews I read said a bunch of people just fell asleep in this movie and felt. Wow. I got sick last week, and I might still have a little bit of that. It's kind of affecting my voice a little bit. But Ad Astra, a lot of people said they fell asleep in this movie and felt like it was really dull or boring or something. I personally didn't feel that. I personally felt it was a very realistic movie that's set in like the near future, and that's just very realistic with its depiction of space travel and everything. I don't think much of anything happens in this movie that would make you need to suspend your disbelief. Like, in It, you have to believe that there's this crazy freaky clown that exists, There's nothing of that sort, nothing really supernatural in this movie for you to really think like, I wonder if that would really happen. Because no, all its depictions of science fiction or whatever it is, it's very, very believable. Like, you believe that this is how they would travel in space in the next, 100 years or 200 years or maybe even 50 years. Depends on how fast commercial space travel and stuff like that becomes an actual thing. So it was really neat to see. Like, if you've seen the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, I'm going to watch another movie with Joaquin Phoenix next week, later this week. But Her with Joaquin Phoenix, 2013, I think it won Best Original Screenplay or something like that. Basically, where Joaquin plays a guy who falls in love with his operating system, played by Scarlett Johansson. Now, I'll admit, if my operating system had a voice, was voiced by Scarlett Johansson, I might get a little attached. Let's say that. But I love that movie because it was so realistic in its depiction of, I guess, love and attachment and what that means. Because, yes, he did get, spoiler alert, but he did get attached to her. And, wow. He did get attached to her. But what was she at the end of the day? Like, she's just an operating system. She's just something that somebody created in an office room, in a computer lab or something. So, and for a man like that to have very real emotions about something that's quite clearly not real, but then again feels extremely real, it makes you think, like, could I do something like that? Could I be something like that? So this type of filmmaking is some of the best stuff, because it's something that I like using this term a lot, and it's called verisimilitude, and it basically means that what you see is like real life, and you are almost watching or like peeking through the void or whatever to see this alternate future or something like that. But obviously this is a movie that some guy wrote and some guy acted. Brad Pitt is amazing in this movie though, and it's just great, and it feels so real, obviously, but it's not, right? Like, it doesn't exist, but it feels like it could, and it feels like it does in this world, and that's a testament to really good filmmaking. So if you like anything that I just said about this movie, definitely go see it. If you were interested in going to see this movie, go see it. It's very, very chill. If you go in not expecting like Interstellar, or like, think more Gravity over Interstellar, but if you go in expecting like a good, chill, simple story with really good production value and everything, you will be thoroughly delighted with this movie. Yeah, Ad Astra is one of the best movies of this entire year. And Brad Pitt, honestly, I liked his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood better, but that doesn't mean he's bad at all in this movie. Overall, I like this movie much more than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That movie is really well made, but a very pointless, well-made movie. It just didn't really have that engaging of a story. And honestly, neither does Ad Astra. Ad Astra is a pretty simple, very one-note story. There's no subplots, A or B plots. It's just the A plot. Brad Pitt, he goes to look for his father, and I won't spoil it. He either finds him or he doesn't. And it's basically that entire story. The other movie I watched was The Farewell. This is a really, really good movie too. One of the best of the year. Written and directed by Lulu Wang. It's an A24 movie. A24 is they're the unsung hero, the amazing distribution company that lets artists make their movies. They pick filmmakers who are passionate about their project, and they simply let them tell their stories how they want to tell those stories. And not all of their movies are blockbusters or anything of the like, but they're truly creative endeavors, and they should be supported. So if you can find this movie in a theater, I highly recommend you go support it, because we need to support more movies like The Farewell. And it's a really cool cultural I can't think of the word right now. It's a really neat cultural perspective kind of movie, I guess. Basically, our main character, Billy, played by Awkwafina, if you're familiar with her rapping. I'm not so much, but I know that she raps, and I guess she has somewhat of a following, and she's a really good actress, at least in this movie. Her performance is really great. This is an emotional movie. It's really heartfelt. Yeah, I had a lump in my throat during several moments, and I also laughed to my heart's content. It's really funny and really endearing, a really fun time, and it's a great movie to watch with your family, because you'll learn things about, I guess, Eastern cultures in, I guess specifically they go to China in this movie, and basically her grandma is diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and they say it's inoperable. She only has 3 or 4 months to live. So as a family, they band up and throw a fake wedding in order to go and see the grandma one last time, and keeping in mind that they do not tell her that she has this illness, and they won't tell her until it's too late. And I mean, I guess it's already too late, because they said it was inoperable and it's late stage, but this is definitely something that would not fly in a lot of Western countries. And some of the conversations in this movie about the ideologies and how it differs from the East and the West, some of the most interesting and fascinating conversations that I've seen in a movie. And specifically, one conversation with Billy, the main character, and her mom when they're in China it's a really, really impactful and powerful scene. And this movie should be seen, pun intended, this movie should be seen just for that. That's basically about it in terms of movies that I've seen at the theater. A movie that I watched maybe about a week and a half. It's called Blue Velvet. It's directed by David Lynch. If you are familiar with Twin Peaks, this movie David Lynch created Twin Peaks, directed a lot of it, and Perfect Blue. Wow. Blue Velvet was an inspiration for Twin Peaks as well. And it's a really, really well-made movie, and it's a very interesting movie. It's like this... It's like a head trip, but it's a very conventional head trip, if that makes any sense. You'll have to watch the movie to kind of understand what I mean when I say that, because it's not like the Nicolas Cage movie Mandy kind of a head trip, or like any sort of in-your-face head trippy kind of movie, like Memento or something like that. It's very subtle, and it's really, really well made, and the movie has a life of its own, and there's definitely a lot that can be taken from it upon repeat viewings. I haven't seen it multiple times, but I can definitely tell there's more under the layers, and I like that in a movie when it doesn't just have whatever you see at first glance, you don't take everything at face value. They have more meaning than that. So it's always interesting for movies to be deeper than what they seem, or more than meets the eye, I definitely recommend. Kyle MacLachlan is the main guy. He's also the main guy in Twin Peaks. You might recognize him from How I Met Your Mother if you've seen that. He's the captain, that one pretentious art collector that Lily was working for that one season. I forget. I think it's like season 6 or something like that. I'm not sure. He's pretty young. The movie came out in 1983. If you like Big Little Lies, Laura Dern is also in Twin Peaks, or I guess she's also in Twin Peaks, but she's also in Blue Velvet. It definitely has one of the most despicable villains that I've seen in a movie. Like, this guy, Dennis Hopper plays him. I don't really, off the top of my head, know what other movies he's in, but you probably will recognize him when he comes on screen. He's completely despicable, and that's just a testament to this guy's performance, because you hate this guy, and you don't even feel bad that you hate this guy. You just hate him with a passion from the moment you see him. So, I mean, if that isn't acting, then, I don't know, maybe Dennis Hopper is just a very terrible individual, but, I find that hard to believe. He was hired for working on this movie. So, I don't know. He could be. He very well could be. I really don't know. But the thing is, I believe he's a really good actor because he was downright despicable in this role. So, that's another movie that's, I guess, out of the blue, pun intended again, I guess. Blue Velvet. Check it out. It's on Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, definitely recommend. New things that I guess came out, trailer for The King's Man, and honestly, I was a little skeptical, like, why the hell are they calling this The King's Man? This is the third in the Kingsman series. It's a prequel. It stars like Ray Fiennes, Voldemort, or M in the new Bond movies. Ray Fiennes and some other guys. I think Daniel Bruhl is in it, and some other. Gemma Arterton. She's also in it. Anyways, it's a prequel for the Kingsman series, and I love the first. I've loved all the Kingsman movies. The first one was a really neat take on the spy genre, and then the second one was a really neat take on sequels for any blockbuster, and this one looks like it could be a neat take on the prequel, which if it really goes that route, I really do think Matthew Vaughn is one of the most underrated directors of this past decade, or past 2 decades. Like, X-Men First Class, one of my favorite movies. He did Kick-Ass, both Kingsman movies, and he's doing this one now. So, Kingsman as a brand and as a series has been totally his vision, and I have been down every step of the way for his vision. I have loved it, so I am deliriously excited for this movie. I can't wait. And Bojack Horseman Season 6 trailer also came out. I cannot wait for this as well. I love, every season of Bojack Horseman is built on the one before it, has gotten increasingly better, and season 5 had some of the best episodes that I had seen. Just extremely well written. This show is just so funny. It has its own sense of humor. I even started watching that, I guess, the spin-off show, or it's not even like a spin-off show, but it's by like the same producers. It's called Tuca and Birdie, but I really didn't like that. I love Bojack Horseman, and it's just a really, really well done show. Aaron Paul, Will Arnett, everybody on the show is just great, and the characters are just so quirky and so well realized because they are every ounce of that character and what makes that person so interesting. So, and it's adult animation, and I really don't think we have enough adult animation, so I will support this show every step of the way. Bojack Horseman's great, and this it saddens me that it's coming to an end, but this season, the final 6th season, this should be a 2-parter season. So October 25th is when part 1 of season 6 comes out, and then I think January is when the final part comes out. So I'm excited for this. And speaking about final seasons that were in 2 parts, Breaking Bad is coming back in the form of a movie written and directed by Vince Gilligan, the master, the god. Vince Gilligan, who's also penned and directed Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. This guy's a genius. And Aaron Paul would follow him into a fire, so I'll follow him into Netflix on October 11th because I can't wait for this movie. It's being marketed as a Netflix event, and I really do think it's a Netflix event. Netflix is really stepping their game up. They made this Breaking Bad movie that we didn't even know was going to come out. It was only a rumor until maybe 2 months ago, and then news dropped, and Saul Goodman, Bob Odenkirk, the actor, he came out in some variety article or something, and he basically said, "Oh yeah, just so you know, that Breaking Bad movie you guys were only speculating about, it's already shot. They've already finished it, and they're wrapping up production right now. And you know what I think is awesome? You guys didn't even know about it. Like, you didn't even know that this movie was happening, and it finished, it started, wrapped, everything, and it's in post-production. Like, it's done now, and they're just promoting it. And this movie, we didn't know it was coming out. Now, I think that's awesome, and I also think that's kind of a bad thing, because Netflix struggles with marketing. Struggles, because you can be on Netflix and you won't know what's on the other side of Netflix, you know? You can be watching Netflix every day and you still won't know, like, hey, this new thing came on Netflix, like this, I don't know, a Sherlock Holmes movie or some new Netflix original that they're making. You won't know. Like, you'll know that Stranger Things is coming out because everyone and their mother is watching that or tweeting about it or something. But Netflix is The Irishman, this 3.5-hour epic from Martin Scorsese, is coming out on Thanksgiving. And honestly, if you're going to respond or comment or something, comment and let us know which one of you knew that this movie was coming, or when you found out this movie was coming. Now, I've been paying attention. I've followed this Netflix Martin Scorsese movie from back in 2015 or 2016. They've been talking about this for a while. I think Leonardo DiCaprio was set to star in it, but I don't think he's starring in it right now. It's Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino. Or maybe Leonardo DiCaprio was only going to produce. Either way, I've been following this movie for years, and I didn't see any set photos or any leaks or anything like that. So Netflix has managed to be really secretive with their productions, which is good for keeping things under wraps and having a good surprise, like catching your audience by surprise with these big reveals and everything. But you need to promote those big reveals, and you need to milk them, and you need to make sure that you trend, and you need to make sure that people are talking about you. And you need to get the word out. You need to market and promote your stuff. Otherwise, I'm sure that people will be on Netflix 2 years from now and they won't even know that a Breaking Bad movie had come out or something like that. That's just an example, but it's very true. Like, some people probably don't even know that, I don't know, Daredevil had 3 seasons and was canceled or something like that, unless you really pay attention. It's just because Netflix, they advertise their new shows only 2 weeks or so before they're set to release. So that's a very short window of time for people to build up anticipation and anything about that show. Because, like, some movies, Star Wars, or any big movie franchise will put, like, a teaser out, like, a year in advance, or 6 months in advance, just so people know that something exists. Like, hey, this is actually, like, a thing that is happening, and this is a thing that will be on Netflix. So, get Netflix, or make sure you have Netflix. So, if they do that, then it's fine. And I'm sure Netflix has done some stuff like that. Like, they put a teaser out for The Witcher. And that teaser came out a couple months ago. Now, The Witcher is going to come out in December, I think. Or maybe it's coming out next year. It's coming out end of this year, early next year. So, that makes sense. Like, Netflix has put a lot of money, and the production budget looks crazy insane for this Witcher series. So it's good that they're marketing it like they are. But they're not marketing The Witcher. They're marketing The Witcher differently than they have been for their other shows. And the problem is they haven't been marketing their other shows like that, like they should be. So now if they did that, it would be great. And it's good that Netflix is making a change, at least for these shows. Again, I just talked about Bojack Horseman trailer for season 6 dropped like yesterday. Now, it comes out October 25th. That's just like a month. I would say, and this is just my personal opinion, I would say a month and a half to 2 months is a good time to drop your trailer. They did it with just less than a month. Now, obviously, I'm assuming that they have a bunch of analysts and a bunch of economists doing a bunch of math and things to figure out trending times and social media awareness, and a bunch of people trained to do that. But me personally, I don't think they're doing it most effectively. Anyways, this has gone on for quite longer than I intended it to. You guys should check all of those movies out. The Farewell, The Shining. If you haven't seen The Shining, it's amazing. Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is a anime movie that inspired Requiem for a Dream. It's also a great one if you're looking for anime recommendations, I guess. But Blue Velvet, the David Lynch movie. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. And Ad Astra. If you haven't seen Ad Astra, highly recommend. It's one of the best movies of the year. And I guess look forward to our episode on Friday, because I'm going to go see Joker on Thursday, and I cannot wait to talk about Joker. So until then, you guys all have a great day, great night. Whenever you're listening to this, have a great time. And look forward to the next episode. Peace.